In our news bulletin for this evening, Nura stands to lose out on about $1 million with the announcement of the U.S. withdrawal from the fisheries treaty. Nura Tourism has announced the appointment of a new CEO this year for the Nura Tourism Office. The national sporting body reviews the status of sports codes and development on the island. Students head back to school for a fresh start for 2016. Nura could lose out on about $1 million following the announcement of the United States withdrawing from the South Pacific Tuna Treaty. The treaty governs access to the 322-kilometer exclusive economic zone of 17 Pacific Island nations that are party to the agreement and members of the Foreign Fisheries Agency. At the beginning of this year, U.S. counterparts announced that they were withdrawing from the 27-year-old treaty that expires in 12 months. This came after they had agreed to pay about $89 million for its 2016 fishing days, but within months reneged on the deal, saying its fleet could not afford to pay. Minister for Natural Resources, Honourable Billy Talangi, says that this decision will have implications for Nura and all parties to the agreement. For some islands like Tuvalu, their national budgets are reliant on funds received through this agreement. In Nura's case, just over $1 million. According to Minister Talangi, members of the parties to the Nuru agreement pushed for an increase in fees for payment of fishing days and were successful. However, this move proved too costly for the U.S. In light of these latest revelations, government is now looking at ways to offset the potential loss of revenue through fishing rights, and one way would be to crack down and collect on outstanding debts owed to government. However, Minister Talangi says they remain hopeful that an officials meeting of the FFA next week in Fiji will be able to identify or renegotiate terms and find ways to deal with the expected withdrawal. The Nura Tourism Authority Board has appointed a new Chief Executive Officer to manage the operations of the Nura Tourism Office. Tourism is one of the key economic drivers for Nura and an essential part of development. Felicity Bolen-Fiso started her new role on the 1st of January this year after spending 2 years heading the Nura Chamber of Commerce office as the Business Development Manager. This new position and role will look at the management side of staff, ensuring the visitor numbers are on track, and to negotiate with partner companies in New Zealand for better deals. However, the existing director position remains filled by a local and focuses on areas of marketing and developing tourism on island, working in line with local operators. The Nura Tourism Board Chairperson, Saluma Ioane Hunt, says that work will continue as Nura Tourism looks to work in partnership with village councils to ensure that the benefits are spread across the board. This year, the office will also look at becoming more engaged in what is happening within the communities, taking a more proactive approach and role to look out for the public interest within the industry as well. Felicity Bolen-Fiso is on contract for about 2 years, and that will also be dependent on performance. An apparent lack of sports development on the island has raised some concerns, and a call from the national sporting body for sports associations to be more proactive. The Nura Island Commonwealth Games Association, is also known as NISCA, represents about 20 affiliated sports codes. 15 of those are regarded as elite sports, while others are more of a social nature. From those sporting codes, about 10 are affiliated to international organizations and such have a mandate to develop sports on the island. The president for NISCA, Alan Tano, explained what their role is as the national sporting body and that the power to make changes is within the membership.
Our role is not for sports development, but we initiate sports development through the sports association or sports federation. Every sports federation have their own constitution, and they should do their work. Because part of the constitution is sports development, especially those who affiliate to international federation. That's their role. Our role is to monitor that they are doing their job, and our role also is the main body that liaises with Commonwealth Games Federation and the Pacific Games Council, because sports code cannot go direct to those outside federation. They can go direct to their own international sports federation, and they have the rules in regards to development. Sports code, if they are not happy with their executive now, they are the members. They are the ones who vote them in. Like them, they are the ones who vote us in. If they are not happy with me or with my committee, yeah, they can vote us out the next time. If we're not doing anyway, same with sports code. It's up to the members. I'm worried. I'm concerned with no organized tournaments going on, especially those federations that affiliate to the outside international federation, especially those with Olympic sports. At the moment, I think it's lawn bowls and weightlifting is doing their own program.
For some of the team sports, the challenges they face are due to limited population or athlete numbers, as well as funding opportunities to assist with sports development.
It's not sanctioned by the actual sports code. We don't recognize the results, but they can go ahead and organize it as a social. Soccer, Nura High School, Randy approached me and I said, go ahead. So he went and saw Fisher, and Fisher gave them the blessing to organize soccer, which is good as a social sport. Like I've mentioned about darts, they do the homework, get members sign the petition, and I went and talked to the past president, and he wrote, yeah, they can go ahead because her committee was not functioning at the time. So they set up properly. The same with other sports code. Look at the constitution. There is a clause in there that says what they can do if they are not happy with the association. But at the moment, those associations who is affiliated to us, we recognize them. Once the new committee comes in, the new association comes in, and then pay their fee, and then we recognize them.
Sports codes have been requested to get their sporting program sorted, and the NISCA General Assembly will be meeting on the 22nd of this month to discuss some of the issues and get an update on the status of sports on the island. It was the first day back at school for 2016, and it seemed to be off to a good start for most students. Yesterday, the youngsters at the Early Childhood Education in Nura Primary School, their excitement levels were high as they started at a new school. Nura High School, on the other hand, started the year with a new sign installed at the entrance to the school and a school roll that stands at 193. Nura Primary had their first early morning assembly at the new school grounds that proved to be a light-hearted affair, with some parents sitting in to get their young ones settled. A delay with the arrival of new school uniforms meant that students had to wear their old school uniforms or turn up in mufti. We were at the school and spoke to some of the teachers to gauge how students and teachers were feeling on their first day back at school.
I feel so happy, and I know the parents are too. They're excited. The kids are really excited. And all we can say is when the kids come in, it's always that, wow, ooh, So, yeah, we're all happy. We've talked about new attitude, new teaching behavior, new beginning for a lot of things, for the children's learning, and also for our teachers also, just to have a more effective learning in the classrooms.
Now that everyone's getting settled in terms of numbers of entrants that have come through and teachers, how is that looking at the moment?
We've got a good number to start off this term. It has increased a bit because last year when we did our roll for this year, it was only 11 new intakes. But today we've got 20 new intakes, and that's taken our roll up to 30.
Well, the first reaction from my kids was like, wow, there's a computer in our class. When you see kids walk into your class and they have that kind of reaction, you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be a good year. So, yeah. The expectations we have would still be the same as the ones that we brought up from Halamahanga, where we expect nothing but the best from the kids, to work very hard, and we've been given this opportunity for new school, brand new resources, and yes, we're expecting the teachers and the students to work really hard to make use of this good opportunity that's been given to us. And in also saying that, we're very thankful that we are able to get to this step in our education lives. We believe that the relationship between the school and the parents is very important for the development of the kids, the education, and just to have that steady relationship between the school and the parents. It's very important for us to have that stable relationship. So when we drove in this morning, we already saw parents were here. There was, you know that feeling that's how close you are with the parents. How thankful and glad we are that we are able to give the children this new environment to enhance their learning. And would like to say thank you to everyone who was involved in making this dream come true.
Classrooms have all been fitted with new furniture and resources that are up to New Zealand standards, and a very colourful addition. There were also many eager parents present, and they also play a big part in the education and development of children as well. Although there is some limitation in terms of field space, it will take some getting used to. New year, new school, new attitude, and 220 students enrolled for this year. That concludes our news bulletin for this evening. We do hope that you can join us again for our next news bulletin on Thursday evening.